This is episode 9 of our IG Live session series. I'm Tanvi and I'll be your host. Each month I'm joined by Dr. Ahmad Al-Hasawi, who is a scientist and global speaker in body healing mechanism. And we talk at length about how we can take conscious steps or conscious measures to heal ourselves from any chronic disease. Today we will be talking about healing from respiratory diseases, especially asthma. Now, asthma is a chronic condition that affects lungs and breathing airway for millions of people worldwide. According to the World Health Organization, asthma is one of the most chronic diseases, and it has affected about 262 million people worldwide back in 2019 and has caused about 461,000 deaths. Simple breathing is the greatest pleasure. Tonight we will be talking about this condition, how we can take conscious measures, as I said, and discover how by practicing and discovering your highest purpose or your highest value, we can heal ourselves from any chronic disease, including asthma. So without further ado, I'll add Dr. Nada. Hello, Dr. Nada. Good evening.
Hello, good evening, Mrs. Tanvi. Thank you for having me in this important talk about healing the asthma rather than treating asthma and managing asthma.
Thank you very much. As always, it's a pleasure speaking with you, and I learn a lot, and I'm sure that everybody who joins us live or watches us on our YouTube channel later on, they get a lot of information from you, from your expertise. So let's just go straight to our conversation. As always, Dr. Nada, if you can just tell us, let's start from the beginning. What are the functions of our lungs?
Mainly the lungs is like the two lungs, or the two lungs are part of the respiratory system. This is meant by breathing. Lungs are the sites of gas exchange, and we mean by gas exchange, exchanging the oxygen, taking the oxygen from lungs to the blood, and that is through the capillaries, and taking this oxygen to the cells, which is very important, and then taking out the carbon dioxide, which is actually produced from metabolism in these cells. Okay, take this carbon dioxide to the lungs to be released into the air. Mm-hmm. So that's why the lungs considered to be the main site of the gas exchange. And actually, if there is a reduction or anything affected, the function of lungs means this will affect the gas exchange, which is very important and vital for the body processes and functions. Because we know actually, what I would like to add here, it's very important. Why do we need oxygen? We always say oxygen is vital, is important for, as you mentioned in your introduction, is the minimum for living. Oxygen is important for releasing the energy from food. So we can produce energy? We use oxygen, and that is through what is known as respiratory chain. Is taking place in mitochondria in the cells, so it's important. Number two, oxygen is used to eliminate the toxins in the liver. So it's like detoxification. Liver needs oxygen. So that's why lungs are very important. The function of lungs is very important for our health. Also, I would like to add something just to briefly describe the respiratory system, which I thought this is very important in our talk. I would just mention in general the main parts are some of these important parts. First of all, we have the nose and the mouth, and mainly we use the nose, which is sometimes we use the mouth when our nose is closed. But the main thing, the nose is healthy in this because it has the cilia inside there. Whenever we take, it's the opening through which we take the air from outside of our body. And the cilia inside lining the nose, very important as to catch the dust and bacteria, whatever could affect our lungs. So this is important. Number two, we have the sinuses here, and hope it's clear, which is like these are like the cavities in our face. Here could be two cavities here and here cavities, which it's very important to regulate the temperature and the humidity of the air we are taking. See, the process is very, precise and accurate. Number three, I would mention the throat. The throat is the connection between the nose okay, and the trachea here. And I would mention also what is known as the epiglottis, and epiglottis is very important. Some people, they would know about it because it's like this part here, which this part is a flap of tissue that's supposed to guard the opening or the entrance of the trachea. So this would close, okay, whenever we need something, we swallow something that's supposed or should go into through this esophagus to the stomach, the food. So it's like regulating between taking air, because it's the same, the same passage here, or same tube here. So we need to regulate the not mixing. When we talk, sometimes we need to swallow and not to make it. Sometimes we feel it and we cough because of this. This is also important. And also we have the trachea. It's here. Okay, the trachea is here. And also we have the bronchial tubes, which actually divided between the two lungs here. And we have bronchioles, which are the smaller branches here that actually, it's very clear here, they are out of the bronchial tubes. And these bronchioles, they are ended by what is known as alveoli. And these are they are small air sacs, which are covered by the capillaries. So here is the site of the exchange of air, the two gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Also, I would like to add something very important, because talking about lungs, we shouldn't miss what is known as the diaphragm here, which is the muscle that is supposed to be pull in when we take in oxygen or the air, and push out when we exhale. So inhale and exhale, and because the breathing could be just unconscious breathing. This is also, we keep talking about this in our, whenever we give workshop, Mr. Ahmed Fadhul is always mentioning this important part about breathing. And we just breathe, this is unconscious, but when we are conscious about breathing, this is also meant by relaxation, which could also, we mention maybe at the end or a little bit throughout our talk.
Let's now get into the actual talk, that is the asthma. What is asthma, and what are the symptoms of asthma?
Yeah. First of all, asthma is an inflammatory disease. It's a chronic inflammatory disease, long-term disease. It is meant by inflammation of the bronchial tubes or bronchialis, the small branches. And they actually, they become, hope this is also very clear, where we have the normal airway here. This is meant by the branches, the end here. And this is the inflamed one. We can see here that there is also extra sticky secretions in the inflamed one. So we can see also there is a narrowing in the airway, and it's like a swollen. So in this case, then we can expect the symptoms according to this, where there is wheezing and coughing. Usually there is tightness in the chest and shortening and rapid breathing. So it's like the patient couldn't even breathe unless he has what is known as inhaler. So it's like attachment to got used to the inhaler also.
So you said that they have chest tightening and everything. So I'm sure that a patient who is going through that, they might feel pain as well once you have the chest tightening.
Yeah.
They'll feel pain also?
They feel pain, yes, and tightness, and coughing, all this, yeah.
So what causes asthma, doctor? What are the common causes for asthma?
Now, the well-known causes, allergies, the allergic factors, including what is meant by the pollution, the dust, the pollens, the smoke, and even the feather, the animal's feather, the birds, the animals' fur, and some medications, by the way, they can cause this effect, which is like painkillers such as aspirin. Sometimes cold air and physical activities. And if you go through the list, Mrs. Tanvi, you will see that the emotions are at the end as the trigger of this problem, and including stress in this case.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who is actually asthmatic, and I was talking to her in preparation of this talk, and I spoke to her, and she told me that what she feels when the attack is coming in, and she told me one of the things that triggers her is paint. When the house is being painted, so she has to actually go and move to another house for X number of days so that she can be in a more safer environment.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure, like, once somebody who is actually a patient who knows, who has asthma, they have a certain things that they have to be very mindful in order to move forward, like on day-to-day basis. Like what we say, we take breathing for granted, like what you just said, that we take it unconsciously. But for them, it is something that is it's like an Everest that they have to, every day they have to have that in mind. They have to have their medicines or inhaler all the time. So I'm sure that there is, as you said, that there is stress. I'm sure that this is also related to stress, that you have to be very mindful in each and every step that you take, and like, for example, with my friend, she said that we know small things, what we think it's okay, for them it is a very big task, like climbing a flight of stairs. Once you climb a flight of stairs, for us it's normal, you go, but for them, even going up or down the stairs, it's something that causes a lot of stress.
The thing is, it's like life-threatening matter. Being is like being conscious and unconscious. It's like, to me, like this. So being, how to manage your disease. This is the thing. How to manage your situation. Being away and being, understanding or aware that these certain triggers, they may cause the asthma, and being ready if anything happen by having this inhaler. This is also so stressful, by having this disease. So going back to your friend, I'm sure that the triggers are there, but
Yes.
there should be something happen before the trigger. It's a matter of is the immunity. When the immunity is low, these triggers can even cause this asthma. I would say that, as we already know, that there should be history in the stress. So to us, we see this matter is related to the emotions. And also, as we already mentioned this, anxiety is very important factor in causing asthma. Plus the panic attack. All this is related. When we talk about inflammation, mainly here we are mentioning the immunity. Less immunity is there, and also there is some studies mentioning the genetic factor is there, which will trigger this being affected by the different allergic factors, which I already mentioned. So not everybody can be just, have the asthma because of these factors, unless there are different, reactions in the body. But some people, they would have the stress and then have the asthma triggered by these factors. Hope it's clear.
Yes, let's go a little bit, doctor. I know that we are diverting a little bit, but let's talk a little bit about stress here. That when you said that on the list there is stress and emotions as well. Let's go a little bit dive what happens to our body once we experience stress.
Yes. Throughout my research now, when I talk about asthma, we have the chronic and the acute stress. But mainly, it's not, even if it's sudden stress or the panic attack, it's not meant by the acute stress, because acute stress is healthy, supposed to be there, because you want to move away from the danger. You want to protect your body. Even if you are balanced, you would move away from danger, because this is our instinct. This is normal. You want to move away from a lion or from a car accident, and this is normal. Having this, shock, the panic attack is one of important factors of having the asthma. And if we just define the panic attack, the meaning of that feeling of sudden and intense anxiety. And sudden anxiety is not easy. Once you have this, and anybody could have this, it's like, the symptoms are heart racing. This will give description of the severe emotional stress. And also we have sweating, chills, and shaking, difficulty in breathing, weakness, dizziness, and numbness and chest pain again. So here, all this because of the sudden increase, there is increase in the epinephrine and norepinephrine in the body. Because Epinephrine, norepinephrine, usually meant by fight or flight. And our body, this reaction, this kind of reaction, when we receive any, situation or event that is really stressful and causing this emotional panic attack, our mind or our brain won't differentiate actually between if this is the situation is in which we need to protect ourselves, which is acute, or a situation, okay, which could be, so stressful for us. It's like, emotional. So the same reaction, we have the same reaction here. So the sudden increase in epinephrine, norepinephrine, that is by reaction and this secretion, by the adrenal glands above our kidneys, will cause this heart racing. It's like worrying, sudden worry, we have a worry. The anxiety is like the feeling is sometimes when anybody could feel that there is a situation and it's like many, thoughts came into his or her mind, and that situation is like unease, and it's like there is worry and fear, and that could be severe or mild. This is not good situation. This could cause this asthma. So the real cause, if we just dive into this, the real cause here, even if we talk about the panic attack is also related to immunity, and suppression in immunity is also leading cause of the triggering by allergic factors, which could lead to asthma. If we take any patient, to be honest, what I understood now throughout my research, even if we talk to any patient who has asthma, you would see that there is very deep emotions, could be previous shock when he was a child, or even some worries and the panicking that cause this, the real cause of this problem. That is why the triggers are leading to this, to the asthma.
That is why you say that it is the most common chronic disease in childhood, because
one of the most common. Yes, one of the most common. And mostly if you even talk to those children, they, I would say that according to the studies which I read regarding these children having the asthma, it's because of the parents. The nurture again is there, losing love, mostly separation, feeling the guilt, is one of the important leading cause of asthma. Feeling the guilt and losing, all this, the emotional shock is the actual cause, the real cause of asthma. So that's why this is, to me, this is like a proof. And even one of the studies, by the way, they did the hypnosis for those patients who are suffering from asthma. It's like considered to be some of the treatments of the asthma, to do this hypnosis. And when they just try to create any situation that could lead to there was difficulty in breathing in these patients. So it's like this, another proof that the real cause is the emotions, the negative emotions, of course.
I mean, there might be certain things like when I was researching it, of course, more of what we are talking is not available on the internet. What we are talking right now, the real causes. The common causes are available, as you said, that what the triggers, the usual triggers are available online. Anybody can go and find out what's happening and how you can deal with that situation if you have somebody close to you suffering or is an asthmatic patient. One of the things that they say is like to move away from pollution, populated or polluted areas. Go and live in a little countryside or something that the air is fresher. And one of the things that somebody commented when I was reading that, how will I earn money if I am living there? How will I make my living? My living is in the city, but you are telling me now to leave my job and go and live in a countryside just for this. So it was a very interesting debate that I was reading, that people were commenting that if you don't have your health, as we said, the health is the main important. If you don't have your health, how will you live? The living part is more important than actually the earning money. What do you think about that?
Very interesting point, because, I would say it's the highest value again. If it's the highest value, that job highest value, and there is conscious about this highest value by doing in this job, you would take all the precautions that will avoid you from getting being prone to this danger out of the pollution, or even having any problem out of this pollution. So this is the main thing, number one. Number two, anyone discover his highest value and even conscious about what he's doing in, his purpose in life, he would avoid even the pollution in a way, because he would love himself, appreciate himself. Here, of course, this will become also, we will be in a world with less pollution, by the way. If people who's work in these areas of pollution, factories and things, they have the highest value in this, they will manage it in a certain way that it won't, affect anybody, even not affecting them. This is health and safety. So I don't agree like people, they need to live in pollution and they need to do highest value at the time. No. People, when they recognize their highest value, for example, in these kinds, of the field of pollution, whatever could affect the environment, they would manage it in a beautiful way because they are conscious about what they're doing. And in this case, this will not affect people. The other people. I think there is many people now work on this. I can see this in the news, by the way. It's beautiful now. How people, they are treating the pollution in the water, for example, in a biological way and a beautiful way that won't affect even, there is no byproducts. I really enjoy watching these kinds of news because I think they have the highest value in this. So how to deal with environment in a beautiful way that won't affect anybody. So this is again going back, and it's like not correcting the world, but it's like putting everybody in his place, and especially in terms of our talk today, people who are really meant by the highest value in this, managing the environment and keep it away from pollution.
One of the things also I'll give a reference again to my friend. We were talking about it, and she said that there are times that the office that she's working in, she's on the very high floor, I guess 21st floor or something. Every month or so they have a fire drill in the building. When there is a fire drill in the building, you cannot use the elevators, you have to use the stairs to come down. Now for us, coming down the stairs is like 21 floors, we can come down. But for her, it is, if she comes down 3-4 flights of stairs, she has to stop and catch her breath. So the people who are actually monitoring the drill, they'll say, oh, come on, move, don't, because you are actually at a drill. So you need to be with the other people so that you don't cause any trouble in case there is a real fire. So there are times that she told me that she needs to, she used to get in advance that they will be doing a fire drill tomorrow, for example. So around that time, she will make sure that she's already gone down to the elevator before the actual drill, and she'll sit somewhere and have a cup of coffee till the time they finish the drill, because that stresses her out. She going down the stairs and explaining it to other people that she is suffering, and that person not understanding that what is going on physiologically inside her, that causes a very high amount of stress. And that sometimes also triggers the reaction, asthma.
Yes.
And even sometimes it becomes so worse that she actually takes leave on those days, that she doesn't want to go to the office. So imagine the kind of stress that you're already in, dealing with this condition, and then you have to take care of the other things and make sure the other people are understanding, because they will, as we say, that we cannot make everybody understand what we are going through, so it's a very difficult situation for the patients or the people who are suffering, actually.
Yes, I agree. This is too much, and I think this is a stressful situation for those people, but it depends if they really want to sort this out. Because this will make her that living in, I'm sure that she has many worries. Is she getting enough sleep? That's my question. So she needs to sort out this matter of the asthma, starting from what happened actually previously. When she was a child, I don't know how long she's having the asthma. But first, number one, we always say we need to discover the highest value. This is the secret number one, because when we talk now the root causes, having these emotions, so how now to heal it? Because what we're talking about, management, when you stay away from the triggers, when you know what to do when you have this asthma, or having the inhaler, which is mainly the uses corticosteroids, those people, they can't live without this, because they need to open the when they have asthma, they need to open the bronchialis, the bronchial tubes, to inhale the oxygen. So then it means that, number one, if we talk about the healing now, like in the case of your friend's case, because I think she's living in the stress. People they won't understand. Not all people are educated with about all these conditions, especially if they are not highest value in the case in the safety, the health and safety, who's taken over this, you know, who's managing all this. People meant by the holistic, you know, the health. They don't understand this. Especially people talk about safety. If they are in the highest value, they need to understand these issues. But again, going back to highest value is the only solution which I can see. Now, your friend, if we now talk about the healing, number one, she needs to discover her highest value. Now, maybe we take your friend as a model tonight, to discover the highest value, and also to just balance what happened, the negative event which causes the asthma. So it's like here, that's why when we talk about V.M.G, is it's like the methodology of achieving and activating the healing mechanism. So it's like, you know, it's like a behavioral thing, which meant by the psychology. When you discover the highest value, what's your purpose in life, what you were created to do in life. And then number two, to balance the mind. Because that's in the mind. When you talk about shocks here, talk about the panic attack and anxiety, mainly this is all in the mind. This is not outside. This is not lion. This is not acute stress. This is emotional, chronic stress that happened before. It was like a shock. And then this shock led to this asthma. So this is the keys of the healing here. And of course, having the goal. Having the goal is very important, because this will keep us going through, and it's like a roadmap to achieve our goal in life. So this is, if we talk briefly about the steps of healing the asthma, and ensure those patients, now my feeling from this talk, in general, patients of asthma, they would just very easy for them to be healed from asthma if they just, number one, balance the cause, balance the mind, the shock, and what happened, try to understand it. They need to understand it. They need to balance it. The negative should be balanced by the positive. And balancing is very important key in our life. Understanding. They would just calm down and keep, you know, creating all these neural pathways, because we have neural pathways in our brain. Because maybe if they keep, this is deep inside, people, they would say sometimes when I talk to you, oh, we don't think and we don't even think about these things, they are from the past, but it's they deep inside them, that's why they suffer. Some people, not even asthma, they suffer from, you know, the contractions in muscles, for example. What is the real cause of contraction? Some people, they suffer from this. What's the real cause? This is like emotional stores in the muscles. So they need to go back. Yes, they need to go back, and they need to balance these situations. They need to know make their life inspiring, and, you know, create or activate the happiness in their life by discovering their purpose in life. So this is the healing here. And once this happens, we would, in this case, balance, and even not even balance, but let's say decrease the activity of the sympathetic nervous system. Because here, when we talk about stress and emotions, like sympathetic nervous system again, the activation here, having the heart racing, for example, and having all these, you know, the increase even in the breathing rate, and all this, we have, you know, all these reactions because of the emotions, all this because of fight or flight, which is related to sympathetic nervous system. And once we understand and we activate the V.M.G, that is the highest value and mind and goal, we would, of course, cause the relative increase in the parasympathetic nervous system, which is meant by the healing. That is the healing mechanism. Yani your friend, for example, she would sleep deeply. This will happen regularly, of course. And I'm not suggesting to leave the inhalers, because also we need the medication to a certain point until we activate our inner healing mechanism, because the healing mechanism is there, is waiting for us, giving signs. There's something going wrong in our lives, and we need to just pay attention and listen to our body, because our body won't lie.
Okay. I had a question here. Can someone develop asthma in their late 20s triggered by dust, even if you've lived in a dusty or polluted environment all your life?
Yeah, this is an excellent question. I would say, number one, again, what kind of life here? This is important. 20 years, what kind of life? Is it stressful life? Is it good life or whatever? And if there is, let's say, if there is a choice to even leave this is number one. Number two, if there is choice to leave this environment, why not? Why not? It depends how you feel. But number one, you need, like here in Kuwait, for example, we live in dust. We have it's dusty, and we don't all have asthma. I don't have asthma. Why is that? So it depends on the life. Is my immunity balanced or not? The immune system again. Am I stressful? Do I really focus on dust and say, people usually they talk about weather. People, they don't if it's hot or dusty. But, balanced people who really know what to do and they are enjoying whatever is there, and they will understand it's meant to be. Hot is meant to be there, dust meant to be there, and everything has benefits. They won't have all this. They won't suffer from the weather, even dust. So to me, again, the highest value is the balance and balancing the mind. And it's our choice at the end if you want to keep living in the same area or leave it, for the sake of practicing the highest value.
I mean, of course, we're not saying that don't get yourself treated. If you have triggers, if you are asthmatic, you need to take those proper measures. You need to avoid certain things. It may be pollution, environment, or even certain kind of food that increases your mucus supply. So you need to reduce that, like bananas. I was reading about bananas. I was reading about cooked beetroot. I was reading about jackfruits. Even dairy products, they avoid that mucus generating food. One very interesting thing I read was, like, they say that you should have, if you are asthmatic, you should be having honey every day, because they say the chemical composition of honey is quite similar to our blood, give or take a few things. So wow. I don't know how much it's true, or because I've not gone, I read this and I put it on my notes. So research if somebody is listening, if this is true or not. We've now spoken about, a little bit of healing, about value, about our minds and how we can heal our body. Let's talk about a little bit of steps, how we can take those steps to start this process.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mrs. Tenvi. Actually, it's really interesting what you just added to me. I would like to research in the similarity between the honey and the human blood. And I think what they said, taking blood is more, maybe to my understanding, is like related to the cough, because of the coughing, it's like lubricating. I think so. And also the honey, well known in increasing the immunity. The immunity. Also, I would like to add something regarding what you mentioned about some of the food which cause allergy to some people. Like I'm interested now to have like special talk and very interesting interview about those foods that's known to have all these reactions, like strawberries and banana and peanuts and all these kinds of food. To me, these are also related to reactions, and people they don't know about this. It's like a very reaction since they were young, and treating this with the same event, what happened actually that created this reaction, because really it's amazing. Human body is amazing. And the way how our mind is controlling, the body is very important. 95% of the mind is subconscious. So the subconscious, like the black box, I call it. And the black box is like even all these reactions is recorded there. Whether we are conscious, whether we know about this or we don't know. It's very, very deep. This could be interesting talk. We can talk about these kinds of reactions.
Sure.
Yes, yeah.
Let's do one for that, for sure. Okay, so let's
yeah.
talk about the steps. Yeah.
So number one is just forget about the asthma and discover your highest value. I always tell people, forget now about disease, just focus with me. It's the spirit again. Number one, discover what you were created to do. And when we talk about highest value, we talk about the hobby of the hobbies. We talk about work, about, you know, yani what you want to achieve in your life. Because people sometimes think about values like, you know, all these, the social values. It's different. And even if you have the social values, to activate these social values, you need to activate your highest value first. And highest value is meant by the spirit here. So it's like overriding your body. That's why we say highest value, because overriding the body. Once you are happy and inspired, you will just even disconnect from your body sometimes. That's why some people, when they meditate, just doing, you know, the normal, the non-meditation, they just disconnect from the body. This is science. This is real. Discovering the highest value, and you need to put strategy and goal which you would like to achieve from highest value. Because again, we keep repeat this because this is healing here. It's going back to your spirit, going back to the reason for your creation. This is important. So that's why we keep saying highest value. And number two, and very important for the asthmatic people, to balance the mind, balance the events, and balance feeling the guilt and feeling all the negative emotions, because this is important, very important step. I met many people, by the way, they have asthma because of feeling guilt. They have this feeling, always they feel this. And it's not even changing the talk about themselves with respect to the highest value will change even this feeling, because the thoughts will actually, the emotions are drive from the thought. So once you change the thought, you change the emotion. So this is, of course, number one, will balance the emotional chronic stress, which it's like they talk, you know, inside and suffering from these events. And this will increase the immunity. Very important. This will increase the immunity. And of course, gradually, they will set themselves free from the asthma. Maybe this is the brief steps, but actually taking the action start with the first step and then the second step, and this will create more understanding and deeper understanding of life. And that's meant to happen. Everybody should appreciate his life, whatever happened in their life. They need to love their lives. We need to love everything. Even sometimes I think we need to love the painkillers, the inhalers, because at certain point they helped us. But it's not meant to be throughout our life, to live on painkillers or to live on inhalers. But some people, they really have this highest value, who really created the painkillers for us, discovered some of them, like aspirin from the aspira tree. So we shouldn't, eliminate anything from our life, say this is wrong or this is good. We need to appreciate whatever is there in our life. And this is the way how we can really heal ourselves from inside, and which will be reflected on our body.
You just said with regards to the step, what I understand, if we find our highest or we discover our highest value, that's our highest competence. All these chronic illnesses that we talk about on our episodes here, including asthma, can be quelled. And from within. And this will only have when we pay certain attention to the highest purpose in life. You have to have that attention. If you just say, oh, I have created my goal or I have my value, but we don't pay attention to those small things that matter, it will not be quelled.
Actually, as you mentioned, very important, people, they do their highest values. You inspired me. They do it. Many people, they do, but they don't pay attention, as you mentioned. They are not conscious that this is what they were created for. It's like normal behavior to them. So it's like very simple question. It's very simple. It's very simple approach, but they need to focus on it and be conscious on it. So like normal behavior, having, what do you have? So certain matters or small matters which really matter for you, important for you. These are meant by the highest value. And sometimes I imagine the world without this, without the illness. The future for our children, the future generation, are they going to live without disease if they discover their highest values? We don't know. That's the thing. Or is it meant to have the disease all the time, but different diseases? And there should be always negative and positive. That's what I understand. So it's going to be different stage of a humanity.
I think we are at the end of our conversation with you, Dr. Nada, but what we have learned today, I'm sure it's actually one of the best interactions that I've had on this live. I hope that whoever is listening to us, we've given you some pointers to think about. And as I said, that all help is available. And if you'd like to know more about this V.M.G. live manner, you can contact us or contact Dr. Nada here on live, and we can connect you to the right people. And thank you again, Dr. Nada, for joining us today. And I'm sure that we will have more interesting conversations.
I would like to thank you, Mrs. Tanvi, for your amazing interview and for your beautiful spirit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and have a good night.